generously has provided us with videos to greet you and talk about what they are doing currently. So we'll go ahead and make time for that and play those videos. Thank you.
Well, hello to Alaska aviators. Many of you I've known, many of you I've flown with, and perhaps for any newcomers that are out there, know that I'm looking forward to sharing the skies with you guys one of these days. I want to start by saying thank you for what you do for and with Alaska every day. Your dedication is really the linchpin that enables travel throughout our big state. I'm very grateful for the pivotal role that you play in ensuring the connectivity and the well-being of so many of our communities. So back here in Congress, how are things going? I will tell you, I've been a little bit disappointed, actually very disappointed with how slowly Congress is acting in certain areas. It's certainly our goal to get an FAA reauthorization bill enacted in the first half of this year. We need to give the FAA certainty and direction, and that measure is really important. Of course, the recent MAX 9 groundings have added a wrinkle to the conversation. It's certainly something that we need to address as well. But as always, I look for opportunities to fold Alaska aviation priorities into any national conversation around aviation safety. I'm going to continue to push the FAA on Alaska Aviation Safety Initiative, the implementation of that. That effort includes not only installing the AWOS, the Automated Weather Observation Systems at our Alaska airports for certified weather data to support the IFR approaches, but also ensuring that they remain operational. It's not enough to just have them there. They've got to be operating. We cannot be complacent with installing technology that is vulnerable to disruptions or that doesn't reflect the state of the art. So we got some work to do there. I'm also continuing to push the FAA on the legislative and administrative front to let Alaska adopt the latest technology to improve the safety of Alaskan airspace. Most recently, I introduced a resolution expressing disapproval of the EPA's decision to regulate the use of leaded avgas. You're all familiar with what's going on up north, but really until there's a replacement fuel that's available in the quantity, the quality, and the price to make sure that Alaskan users aren't harmed, we're just in a tough spot. So we can't allow this fuel to be regulated out of existence and have this gap here. So I've been impressing upon the EPA to take into account our unique aviation landscape and our reliance on piston-driven aircraft before they use a blanket one-size-fits-all regulation. So we're all working on a lot of different things, but please know that I will continue to work with you to resource affordable and safe air travel in our state. So thank you. Thank you for all your great work. I look forward to flying with you soon. Take care and be well.
Hello, Alaska Air Carriers Association, and thank you so much for the opportunity to say a few words. And I want to thank by thanking Will and the whole team, and thanking all of you. Boy, do you guys make a difference, critical difference for so many elements of our economy, our way of life, everything. We can't have a life in Alaska without all of you. So thank you very much for all you're doing. You know, we're more dependent on passenger and air cargo transport than anywhere else in the country. We all know that over 80% of the communities in our state are only accessible by air, which is why I made sure I got on the Commerce Committee and am focused on aviation issues all the time. Some of you were with me when we brought Secretary Buttigieg up to Alaska this past summer. Nothing like getting eyes on to what are the key issues in our state. I think it was a very productive visit by the Secretary of Transportation, but we have a lot more work to do. The big message I sent to him, and so did so many of you, is one size does not fit all for Alaska, period. One size does not fit all, particularly in the area of aviation and infrastructure. So a lot of focus on that one on his visit. So during the development of the 2018 FAA Reauthorization Act, we all worked hand in glove to address some of our long-standing challenges. and particularly as it relates to infrastructure investments in our aviation sector, which is lacking. It is lacking. And what I say to all the top federal officials who deal with this, well, Senator, it's expensive to have infrastructure in Alaska. Too bad. We're Americans, just like everybody else. And there's things that might be expensive for Alaska, but there are things that we do that the whole country benefits from. So in that reauthorization, we are able to get long-term stable funding for airport infrastructure through the AIP program, provide stable funding for essential air service, the more focus with regard to the FAA on utilizing instrument approaches, and really importantly, we press Buttigieg on this, acquiring new weather reporting and navigation infrastructure. So we're beginning the FAA reauthorization process this year, and we're looking to build on successes. This is a priority of mine, and I'm sure you've all seen, this has been stalled. I'm not going to play politics here on this video, but the Democrats in the Senate, Senator Schumer, Senator Cantwell, can't seem to get this bill on the floor. The new FAA reauthorization, it will be very good for Alaska. We have many things in this bill that we're trying to get finalized, that we've worked with all of you on. Flexibility in Alaska in the FAA programs and aviation operations, weather, equipment improvement, support for, and I got a commitment from the new FAA administrator, the FAA Alaska Aviation Safety Initiative, and of course, continued support for essential air service and making sure that the bypass mail system remains strong in our state. So we're going to get the FAA administrator up to see all of you soon. That was a big emphasis of mine when he went through his recent confirmation. And we're trying to get this, as we speak, FAA reauthorization across the goal line. A lot of work to be done. A lot of that, the good provisions in there because of all of you. My office and I feel like we have a great partnership. Hopefully you feel the same way. Thanks for all you're doing. Thanks for the great work you're doing for every Alaskan every day. Stay safe. We're trying to make aviation safer in our great state. You guys are on the front lines. It's such important work, and look forward to getting the readouts from the conference, and we'll keep pressing and giving you an update on where we are on this FAA reauthorization, which should be happening soon. Have a great conference.
Hello, pilots, operators, and all those in Alaska's aerial industries. Aviation is a way of life in Alaska, and in many of our communities, it's the only form of transportation between them and the rest of the world. No other state relies on the airway the way Alaska does. It's how we get our groceries, visit our family members, and do our business. When the runway lights went out in Deering last year, the community got their trucks, snow machines, and ATVs to line up their headlights on the airstrip and guide a medevac plane that would save an infant's life. That kind of community support is so important, but it shouldn't be needed for basic air travel safety. My work as vice ranking member of the Aviation Subcommittee has focused on making Alaska's voice heard in the reauthorization of FAA and making our nation's most important airspace safer and more accessible. I'm very proud of the work we've done so far. My office worked across the aisle to get many of the recommendations from FOSI into last year's FAA reauthorization, which, if passed, would put many of Alaska's air safety wish list items into law. Don Young was always a passionate advocate for aviation safety in Alaska, and I'm glad we could put that in to honor him. But of course, the work isn't over. The next step is to ensure we get these positive developments funded. It's also been a pleasure to work with your association to push against cuts to bypass mail. My office is proud to amplify the calls from Alaskan pilots to get Secretary Buttigieg's attention. There's a lot of work to celebrate, but also a lot of work to do. I'm looking forward to doing right by all of our communities alongside you. Don't hesitate to reach out. My office doors are always open and always ready to hear your concerns. Thank you so much.
Okay, let's have a round of applause to our legislators, please. So for anybody in the audience who did not attend this morning or was coming in later today, first, we're glad you're here. Second, we just want to say that today's theme is about advocacy. So on that note, you'll see in front of you, you've probably seen out in the room beyond here where the lunch is, that it is sponsored by the NATA. So I want to take a second to talk about some work we did this fall. We hosted a business aviation roundtable in collaboration with the NATA that we are very excited about. Had a handful of carriers show up to that and provide very valuable feedback. So I'd like to take a second to invite Keith DeBerry up to the front to speak with me a little bit about what NATA offers and how we could collaborate going into the future.
Thank you very much. So first of all, I'm not here to sell you anything. So you can put away your checkbooks and